So hello and welcome again, Microbehunter here, and welcome to another Saturday Microscopy live stream. As always, I would like to welcome you, and please do write a comment if there are any sound problems or if there are any technical problems, because occasionally this does happen that there are some issues, but I hope that all of you are able to hear me properly. So I'm still going to see if this works, because I am currently still waiting for the video to appear. Yes, it seems to be working. I can now see myself. So okay, so we're ready to go. Well, today I would like to show you how to make so-called skeleton leaves for microscopy. What are skeleton leaves? Well, these are basically the vascular tissues of leaves. So what you have here is we already prepared two of them today, and we'll also dried them so that you can see how they look like. It looks like a very fine network of vascular tissues. So these are the tissues where the water and the nutrients are transported. And I would like to isolate those, and then later on, when we've got those, I'd like to make a permanent mount of this. So I'm going to cut it and we're going to make some permanently mounted slides that we can also look at under the microscope. Yeah. Okay, I already got my first comments. Hello, good evening, loud and clear. Yes, and hello, Oliver. Yes, hello to all of you. Yeah, so I would like to prepare those, and it's actually fairly easy to do that. However, it requires some patience, and I will be spending maybe, I don't know, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, I don't know how long, half an hour maybe, stripping off the cells of this leaf until we're able to get the nice patterns, the nice vascular tissue here. And because it's a very slow and meditative activity, if you have any questions about microscopy while I'm doing that, I'm able to see, of course, the chat, and you can ask questions in the chat, and if I know the answer, then I'm of course going to answer those. Yeah. Okay. Hi from California. I'm reading here. I absolutely love your live content. Thank you very much. It's always nice to have positive feedback. But if you also have any topics that you're interested in, please post that. Well, the first thing that I'm going to do now is the following: is to show you a little bit of what my goal is, and I prepared a video, and in the video I'm going to show you the following here. This is a maple leaf that I prepared a few years ago, and I did not put it under the microscope, but rather I scanned it using my flatbed scanner. So this is a high resolution scan, and this leaf was quite a bit of work for me. Spent several hours preparing the leaf, and you can see that it looks quite nice, but again, this is a high resolution scan. And it was quite a long little activity that I have done here. But luckily, as you can see, most of the structures seem to be intact. But occasionally I was not able to remove all of the cells. But that is basically what I'd like to get. And whether we actually get that quality or not depends also a little bit on the leaf itself. Okay, so you can see that those leaves that we prepared today, they don't look quite as nice, but it depends on the leaf a little bit, on your patience, but I think we'll be just giving it a try. So, however, there's one thing that I cannot show you, because I have done something to this leaf. I have boiled this leaf for about 4 to 5 hours. Okay, I put it simply into a pot of water, and at a very low heat. I kept it boiling, simmering for several hours. I put a lid on top, of course, to prevent the water from completely evaporating, but this is really important, because of the long boiling, what's going to happen is that the cells, they start, the tissue of the leaf start to become soft, and it can then be removed. And the thing is the following, that when you touch the leaf, then you're going to feel occasionally, well, it's a little bit, it's not only soft, but a little bit slimy as well. And sometimes you're also able to see that there is some of the leaf starts to come off and starts to make your fingers green. And this basically means that we're ready to remove the soft cells from the leaf. Okay. After we've done that, I'm going to rinse it, and I'm going to then also place it into a little bit of alcohol. So I'm going to cut it into small squares so that I can prepare it for mounting on a microscope slide. But before I do that, I put it into some alcohol because the alcohol will remove the remaining chlorophyll and it will actually brighten it a little bit. Okay, so I'm also always going to go over here into the comments and read a little bit here. I used to take pictures for eBay with my scanner. Yes, roughly for the price of a Zeiss stereo microscope. Another YouTuber recommended it because of the outstanding image quality. I have a trinocular stereo zoom microscope. I cannot get parfocality at any magnification. What can I do? It seems like the phototube is too short. Okay, that is I think a pretty long question. Depends a little bit on the equipment, but what you generally do is you, when you want to obtain parfocality, you do that at the maximum magnification, and then it could also be that maybe your eyepiece eyepieces have the possibility of being adjusted as well. So what am I doing here? I'm taking a stiff brush. Okay, I'm taking a stiff brush here, and I'm carefully stripping off the cells of this boiled leaf. And of course there is also a little bit of water in here, a couple of milliliters of water, and the water will also help to remove those cells. I have to tell you that this, maybe you might want to tap occasionally. This is also possible. It's a possibility. But I've had leaves that actually worked much easier. Look, been doing this now for a little bit, and it's working. Okay, but honestly, it takes more time than some of the other leaves. Maybe boiling time plays a role, or I can also imagine a little bit maybe because the leaves were still green when I boiled them. A few years ago, in the video in the link below, I used a maple leaf that was already yellow, so it was already a little bit more into fall, and I think it was much easier to strip off the cells here, but it's going to be good enough to make a mount. Okay, stick some orange spaces to move the camera up. Okay, O-rings. Yes, this is an answer to one of the questions that somebody posted, because the phototube being too short, and indeed this. Honestly, I already made videos on this. Connecting a camera to a microscope sometimes is science. Really, the easiest and most reliable way is if you actually get a complete system from one of the larger manufacturers, because they provide complete camera systems and camera to microscope adapter systems. It's all proprietary, and this then works basically out of the box. But as soon as you start buying microscopes that are, I would say, cheaper, lower cost, often only costing several hundred euros, for whatever strange reason, some of those companies, they do not make adapters. This is a little bit of an issue. And then you buy some generic camera adapters, and then often those camera adapters don't work quite as well. The image quality might be low, you have problems with parfocality, and so on. It's a sad story, but you've already probably seen some of the videos here. So I'm going to keep on reading questions here. Would boiling in acid or caustic soda speed up? Soda. You have to use soda, as a matter of fact. I've not tried acid yet, but how do you call this? Is it sodium bicarbonate? Natron. It's used for baking. Some internet sites recommend that. But I also got it to work with simply boiling it without that, but you have to boil it maybe a little bit longer. I have not tried acid yet. Maybe acid also works because of some kind of acid hydrolysis that's going on. Maybe vinegar. You don't want to. At least I personally don't want to play around with acids that are too strong. but if it's used in a household, then I think it's going to be fine. Especially if this is to be an afternoon activity with children, or maybe in a school class or so, then of course the safety plays an important role here. Another thing that I want to say here is the following: the type of leaf is really important. Maple leaves and so on, they kind of work well. And oak leaves, I also tried it, it doesn't work at all. The leaves, if they're thick, then this has also the advantage that they're of course more stable. And honestly, I'll be very honest with you, I'm not satisfied with the progress here compared to other leaves that I've already where I've done this. I mean, it does work, as you can see, but honestly, it doesn't come off easily. And I think I boiled those leaves 6 hours. Yeah. So maybe adding something like acid or caustic soda might indeed speed up the process. Yeah. But honestly, I was a little bit too lazy. I just said, who cares? Let's just keep it boiling for some time. Yeah. Boiling leaves in lye water or perhaps dilute sulfuric acid would work well. Yes. When you use any acids, just be careful that none of these things actually damage the pots that you're boiling them in. Okay. So it's worth a try. Of course, if the acid or the lime is too caustic, too aggressive, then of course this might be a problem because it might actually also break the vessels themselves. Yeah. Hi from Turkey. Oh, I love it. From all over the world. Okay. We've been watching you for more than a year now with my children. That's nice. Yeah, we have an Optica 190PL microscope and learning a lots of things from your videos. I'm happy about this feedback. Yeah. I receive not many emails, but occasionally I receive emails where people microscopists are telling me which microscope they have, or they're asking me which type of microscope I would recommend, or they have already a model and they're asking me if it's a good one or not. And then I very quickly figure out that the type of microscopes or the brands that are sold across the world are kind of different. So some brands are more popular in some countries than in other countries, but in many cases, the microscopes are still very similar. Very often the parts are manufactured in China. This does not say anything about quality. Okay, some people are kind of worried about that this basically means that the quality is not good. No, it depends on the company and on the brand, whether they actually make a quality control. In China, you can get anything. You can get top quality and total garbage. Yeah, this is not the point. The point is rather whether the importer or the company that outsources the manufacturing to China, what quality standards they have. Yeah? But in any case, what I wanted to say is that different countries have indeed different microscope models that are more or less popular, making, of course, comparison a little bit difficult. Yeah? But ultimately, and that's again one of the good things is that it probably doesn't really matter so much. The reason being because microscopes generally are very similar anyway. I mean, if the optics are the same and the eyepieces are the same, then there is not really much difference possible. I am really a little bit surprised that it really does not work well. Okay, don't worry. It works good enough for us to then put it under the microscope. But you know what I'm doing right now? I'm just going to flip it around. I'm going to try to strip the cells also from the other side a little bit. But I have had, I worked already with leaves that really work way a lot better. Yeah. So if you're going to prepare a microscope slide, why scrape off the cells from the entire leaf? Not necessary. You're absolutely correct. But I'll be honest with you, I'm trying to kill also a little bit of time so that I can talk a little bit and answer some questions. But don't worry, I'm not going to do it all the time. Okay, maybe a couple of more minutes. Okay, let's see how far we get. But you know what I'm going to do now is I'm going to dump the water. I've got a bucket next to me, which you cannot see. I'm going to add a little bit of more water. Okay, just a second. So here we go. Yeah, I also recommend little plastic bottles like this, because it's very convenient. Maybe I've also been thinking, I did not try this, maybe kind of placing the leaf on some kind of a mesh or net or something. Yeah, it might also work to do it like this a little bit. Yeah. I was thinking perhaps using near ultraviolet light as a source might yield sharper images. True. Also, have you found some plant material to be fluorescent? Okay. As a matter of fact, okay, this is a long thing which I've been preparing to make videos already. Short answer: be careful with ultraviolet light, but then again, you won't be using really a UV lamp. Most likely, you'll be using some kind of a UV LEDs. Okay, which are not quite as strong, because if you start to shine real UV light into your eyes, it's not so cool. But there are, of course, ultraviolet microscopes, fluorescent microscopes around. And some of the ones that are used in research, they have a very powerful UV lamp. So they're not using blue LEDs or near UV LEDs, but they're actually using real UV lamps. And they can be very powerful, so you gotta be careful here a little bit with those. And what they do is they shoot the light, the ultraviolet light, from the top through the objective, and then on the specimen. And however, it is like this, that with ultraviolet LEDs and a dark field patch stop, you can do something that is called a blue light excitation, which is essentially fluorescent microscopy, because chlorophyll in the chloroplasts actually does shine red, very weakly red, when you shine a light on it. So the answer here is with the question about can you find some plant material to be fluorescent? The clear answer is yes, the chloroplasts. And I've been experimenting, I can tell you that much already, with different types of UV lamps to convert a microscope for ultraviolet fluorescence. Not been entirely successful. I mean, it does glow very lightly red, but what you have to do is you have to place the plant material, usually algae, into darkness first for 20 minutes, and then you place it under the microscope, you put a dark field filter in it, and then you use the UV light. And so that means that direct blue light or UV light is not going to go into the eyepiece, but only the fluorescent light from the side. So this was a little bit technical now, but that is indeed something that you can do. And as a matter of fact, in the good old days, good old days is not quite correct, for those microscopes that use a halogen lamp, because the halogen lamps, they have also a very wide spectrum, and also ultraviolet. So if you turn up the intensity of the halogen lamp all the way up, and then if you include very strong blue filters, you can also do that. So people have been doing this even with regular UV lamps. It's possible to do fluorescent microscopy. Yeah? So would your stereo compound be better for leaves without having any stripping done to them? Very clearly, if you do not do any stripping, if you just want to observe the leaves under the microscope, you must go stereo microscope. Okay, because if you put a leaf without stripping the cells directly under the compound microscope, you're going to see almost nothing, because the leaf is too thick, it's going to be too dark, you've got many cell layers on top of each other, you're almost not going to see anything. What you, however, can do, and in one of my previous live streams I've done this, you can put a leaf without stripping directly under the microscope at low power and have a lamp, a flashlight on the top. This also works. So the principle is similar to a stereo microscope, then without that you get a stereoscopic image. Yeah? But for direct observation of objects, thick objects like leaves, or especially if you want to do some basic nature observation with kids, with children, and you want to collect some leaves and some samples, and you want to just put them, I would say that stereo microscopes are definitely the way to go. Because you don't need preparation, and you also get an upright image. The image is not as abstract. That's also an important thing, because as soon as you start preparing things and making cuts and sections and so on, it becomes abstract, and then often kids are not able to relate to that, so that's why. Wow, lots of questions today, which is cool. Wood stereo compound. Yes, the next question, Robbie. The equipment microscope is Svibony SM402. Again, as I just said before, I do not know all of those brands. Amscope, Nikon adapter with glass elements, Nikon DSLR with crop sensor, parfocality only achieved if I hold the camera 1/2 inch higher than the max. Yeah, that's always the story. Yeah. So this is Normally, if the adapter is fine, it should actually pick up the image there where where the eyepiece should pick it up. So what you might try to do is to put the adapter into the microscope instead of one of the eyepieces and check if part focality is guaranteed there. Yeah? On the phototube, yeah. How to save microscope lenses from the fungus? Ooh, that's a long one. Okay, I need to explain. If your microscope is in an area where it is very humid, tropics, for example. I mean, there are, of course, you do, somewhere in tropical areas where there is a lot of humidity, and when you use microscopes there, then indeed there is the possibility and the danger that fungus will grow on the lenses of the microscope. This is known, and this is a known problem, and as a matter of fact, this is known to the extent that the microscope manufacturers, the better microscope manufacturers, actually design lenses, objective lenses and eyepieces with an antifungal coating on them. Okay, so what can you do to minimize this? You're not going to like the answer. Reduce the humidity. So this means, I don't know, if you use air conditioners, then air conditioners will also lower the moisture in the room. And another thing that you must try to avoid definitely is temperature changes. Because when the microscope is colder, so that's actually a problem if you have air conditions then maybe. So maybe air conditions are not always good, because if the temperature is lower and the microscope cools down, and when then the warm air, moistured air reaches the microscope, then water is going to condense on the lenses, and this actually can promote the growth of fungi. So it's I don't know, seriously, I would have said use air conditions to reduce the moisture. But on the other hand, if you then reduce the moisture and the temperature drops, and then you open the door and again humid warm air enters the room and then starts to condense on the cold microscope, you have probably even a bigger problem. Yeah. So I know for very expensive research microscopes, you send in the optics and they will clean it. They will take it apart and they will clean it. But for lower cost microscopes, this might not be feasible. And honestly, in this case, I advise you just buy a set of new objectives. And especially for the cheaper microscopes, objectives can pretty much be bought. Low cost. Yeah, it shouldn't be too expensive. Yeah. So hi from Miami. What a nice weekend treat to have live stream from a favorite microbiologist. Well, thank you. Today I'm not doing a lot of microbiology here. It's just that I felt it's all. Yeah, I'm from in Central Europe, and slowly the leaves are also starting to fall, and therefore I said as a nice little fall activity. I'm trying to strip the cells of this leaf here. Yes, and my kids have also been doing this today, because as a homework they have to make a so-called a tree diary. That means they have to visit a tree a couple of times a week and document the changes, taking pictures and so on. Yeah. So I read good quality olive oil will fluorescence. People use it as an indicator of freshness. That's a good question. Why does olive oil start to fluoresce? I have no idea. I'm hearing this the first time. That's interesting. Maybe there are some additives in. No additives. Or maybe I can imagine that maybe there are certain impurities in the olive oil still from the plant, from the olive tree. I can imagine. I'm hypothesizing now. Yeah? And maybe if these substances are in there, those impurities, which are actually a sign that it's a natural product, okay, then maybe they're actually glowing. You have a compound microscope sitting in. Yep. Put your glass in the window. The sun's UV will help with mold. That is also an interesting one. Ultraviolet light from the sun. Of course, ultraviolet light damages the DNA of cells. We know this every time when we get a sunburn. And this, of course, also reduces the growth of microorganisms. Okay. Thailand for many years, I guess I'm out of luck. I guess this is in reference to basically fungus growing on dehumidifier. That's the thing. Instead of a air condition, which actually might lower the temperature too much, so that water can again start to condense, a dehumidifier might also work. But I'm just saying, this is fungus on the optics is a known problem, to the extent that companies, the more expensive companies, advertise their microscopes optics with having an antifungal coating. So you know what I mean, to make a permanent mount, this is definitely going to be enough, I would say. Could ultraviolet light damage the coatings on lenses or objectives? Good point. I mean, there are, of course, fluorescent microscopes that are exposed to UV light. And those objectives that are designed to be used for ultraviolet light are apparently also designed to have a very low autofluorescence, because sometimes the glass itself starts to add some kind of background fluorescent, apparently. Not that I'm an expert in this area. So I can imagine that those microscope objectives that are designed to be used with ultraviolet light indeed have coatings that are also, of course, resistant to UV damage. But your question was now, could the ultraviolet light damage maybe the coatings of regular objectives? And instinctively, I would have said the following. I mean, look, if the coatings absorb the ultraviolet light, and some coatings might, or if the glass, then the energy's got to go somewhere, I would say. And so I could imagine that maybe over the long run there might be a problem. The question is if this is not more a theoretical issue. Okay. However, I have to say the following. That's not my strong personal opinion here. The microscopes that most hobbyists use, maybe they're just a couple of €100 or a couple of $100. That's not so expensive. Okay. And if indeed microscope objectives become damaged, I think there are more real, not more real, how do you call this, easier ways to damage a microscope objective. For example, by I don't know, happens all the time, dipping the objective into not immersion oil, but maybe mounting medium, or maybe scratching it. Or I would say there are probably easier ways to damage an objective. And even if that happens, it's not a big disaster. You just get yourself a new objective. They're not, I mean, depending on the company and the type of objective, but usually the objectives used in amateur work and for hobbyists are not that expensive. Okay, you could store your microscope sealed with silica packs to prevent fungus, or just use an ozonator. We run an ozonator in our lab every Friday when we leave for the weekend. It runs a few hours. An ozonator does the following. It creates ozone, which is highly oxidizing, and therefore this kills microorganisms. I know in the lab, when I used to work in the lab, they used to turn on the ultraviolet light every night, because the UV light killed microorganisms that might be floating around. You know what I'm going to do now, because I've been already talking half an hour. I said I'm just going to quit now with this here and just going to go on. Okay, so I'm going to start now processing this a little bit and with alcohol. So I'm going to rinse it first. So I'm going to dump it away again. Just a second. Okay. Again, there's a bucket next to me. Let's kind of rinse it a little bit. Okay. And I think I'm just going to remove also the stem here. The stem usually comes off quite easily. So we need a trash can somewhere. Okay. Okay. Theoretically, what I could do now is the following. I could now cut it up, maybe dry it a little bit, and then, I mean, if you've watched some of my previous live streams, I've now found this glue called a PVA, clear PVA glue that I'm now really using quite frequently. It's a water-based glue. And for this reason, because it's water-based, I can actually mount it directly without having it to be completely dry. But what I would like to do is the following. I would like to remove some of the chlorophyll here, okay, because it brightens it up. And in order to do that, I'm going to cut away this part of the leaf here, which still contains too many cells. So I need a scissor. So here we go. Okay. So I'm just going to cut this off here. No, who cares? Let's just cut it off here a little bit. So I'm going to cut off all of those dark pieces here, because they can still contain a lot of cells, and maybe also the tip here. Okay, and before I'm just going to throw the rest away. Okay, before I add the alcohol, I'm going to also remove a little bit of the water here, simply to make sure that the alcohol is fairly concentrated. Okay. Yeah. So, where is the alcohol? This is just regular rubbing alcohol, ethanol. So, and we just wait a few minutes, and what we're going to see now is that it should start to lose a little bit of the color. I can already see it. I don't know if you can see it over the video, okay, but it's already starting to color off a little bit, and that's what I wanted, because this brightens everything a little bit. Barely you're able to see it. I can see it actually already quite well, and so maybe 5 minutes or so. Now, the important thing is the following. Once you've taken, the alcohol will dehydrate the leaf. It will remove the water, and if I were to dry it, then the leaf, then it's going to shrivel up and shrink. So what I have to do after the alcohol treatment, I have to remove the alcohol and add water again, so that the leaf doesn't shrink. Okay? Yep. So next comment: in Thailand, there are nearly microscopic fruit flies. They're attracted to vinegar in one's breath. How can I catch them for viewing in the microscope? Yes, fruit flies can be caught with vinegar. I know this because I've got a little jar with so-called vinegar eels. These are small nematode worms swimming around. And yeah, I made already videos of these as well. And when I left it standing open, after a few days, there were flies in there. Okay, so what I would suggest is simply set up a jar with vinegar. The flies are going to fly in. They're going to drown in the vinegar, and I think the vinegar might be also useful because it kind of also preserves it a little bit, because the acid, of course, kills bacteria and so on. So I would probably set it up with a little bit vinegar. Yeah. So, and then what you do is you take them out from the vinegar, and either you mount them directly, and this works if they're kind of small. And for mounting insects, I recommend that you use Euporol mounting medium, because Euporol has a clearing ability. This means that if you mount insects or small spiders in Euporol, what it does is the chitin, the exoskeleton, the dark outermost part of the insect will start to become brighter. Okay, and this is the reason why Euporol, even though a little bit difficult to obtain, is actually quite popular with people who are studying insects. Yeah. So, yep. Yeah. So pickled fruit flies. Yeah. So indeed, I would say vinegar it works. You look here now. You can see that it loses the color a little bit. Yeah. So I'm going to give it a few more minutes. Euporol, yes. And that is Euporol. This was my favorite mounting medium up to recently. Has the following advantages and disadvantages. First of all, Euporol is still being sold, because it is used. However, usually chemical companies, they sell it, and sometimes it's not so cheap. Sometimes the quantity is quite high that they sell, yeah. But it is a very good, also very good general purpose mounting medium. The reason is the following. What I can do is I could take this leaf now from alcohol and directly transfer it into Uprol, and this works because the alcohol and the Uprol are compatible. Most other mounting mediums, you cannot do that. It has to be completely dry, or you have to use so-called xylene as a solvent, which is poisonous. You don't want to play around with poisonous stuff, especially when you're doing microscopy with as a hobby, or with children, or in a school. You don't want to do that. So the choice of mounting media is not really that large. And Uprol is one of those few mounting media which is basically does not require you to use any toxic solvents. Okay, you just basically take it from the alcohol, okay, where you've got it, which is not a problem, and directly mount it into Uprol, or even when it's completely dry. The disadvantage of Uprol is it takes a long time to dry. I'm talking about 1.5 to 2 months. You've got to store the slide horizontally. Yeah? It takes a very long time to dry, but it also has a very good long-term storability. I made videos in my other channel several weeks ago where I mounted the Varroa mite. And maybe you want to check this video where I actually showed you the effect of Uprol mounting medium on the brightness of the specimen. Okay, so this is Uprol stinks. That's interesting. Uprol actually smells pretty good because it's a natural resin from a tree. Okay, it actually smells like pine needles or pine trees. Actually, it's a relatively pleasant smell, but it smells nice when you open the bottle. But if you're exposed to the smell all the time, no. You don't want to have this. It fills your whole room. Yeah. So what I'm going to do now is the following. I'm going to dump the alcohol, and I'll add some more. Okay, just a second. Okay, here we go. And this bottle is nearly empty for this reason. Okay, look what I got myself today. Okay, I've not opened it yet. So this means, how does this open? This is a safety. See, I should have tried this first, and now I need my glasses. Otherwise, I'm just gonna use this seems to be some kind of a safety. You have to press this, I think. Okay, that's the demonstration effect. Wow, cool. I can't open it. Okay, you know what? Yep, this is. Okay. I lost the struggle against the the container. Okay, there is a bit left here. Yeah, let's just use this. Okay. Okay. It's always when you try to demonstrate something, yeah. Set up your slide box and keep it in the garage for a couple of months. The question with when you dry it, they have to be kept horizontally. So what I can do, or what I recommend that you do, is the following: you put the slide indeed into some kind of a box which still allows the solvent to evaporate, but you gotta store it horizontally. Yeah, or you put it in a slide box and put the slide box. You flip it up. Okay. So that it's a possibility. Pure alcohol is difficult to get. Is using isopropanol a suitable substitute? Well, let's put it this way: the alcohol that I'm using is ethanol, but it contains an additive so that you cannot drink it. Okay, I think some folks call it rubbing alcohol or cleaning alcohol. It's not expensive and actually very easy to get. And the reason why it's easy to get is because they made it, they added some stuff to it so that there is no alcohol tax on it, and you cannot drink it because it tastes bad. Okay, so isopropanol should also work. Isopropanol sometimes is used because the water content of isopropanol is even less. But I think isopropanol is more expensive. Yeah? Child-proof containers. There's never a child around. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. this that's a safety tab. That's an interesting one. I mean, I don't need it now because I've got now some here. Honestly, yeah, I'd have to. Yeah, I'll have to open it eventually. Okay, so there is still a little bit coming out, but I think that'll be fine. Yeah? So I'll just demonstrate now to you the next couple of steps. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to remove the alcohol again. It brightened up a little bit, maybe not a lot. When I've done this a couple of months ago, years ago, I actually left it in there much longer. Yeah. But I think it's gonna be fine. And another thing that I probably recommend is I find that the leaf veins and everything looks nicer when you're using leaves that are not green anymore. So the leaves where I'm living are not falling yet. It's not quite yet autumn. It's starting now, but these leaves were still green. So, 3 years ago, in the video in the link below, I collected leaves that were already yellow, and yeah, it was actually much brighter, therefore. Yeah. So let's do the following. Let's remove this again. So, and now, I mean, we could actually do a demonstration. If I were to dry this now, it's going to shrink pretty dramatically, actually. You know what? Why not? Why not try it? I'm going to separate this. I'm going to not add water to this one over here, just to show you what's going to happen. I'm going to put it here. And for the other one, I'm going to remove the alcohol by up so that you can see it better. Okay. Again, a few minutes time because the water has to be pulled in into the vessels as well. Yeah. And then I'm gonna give it a try. Okay. Can you use soap instead of boiling it? I would boil it with soap, maybe. That is actually an interesting one. I never thought about that. Soap is a detergent, and detergents dissolve the cell membranes. Okay, so this might actually be an interesting, thing here. Okay, smoke-free fireplace fuel is yes, 99% alcohol. It's sold in Amazon as a my lab uses that. It does not have the additive that makes it denatured alcohol. Okay, or you can buy 90% isopropyl alcohol. It's actually interesting. Really? They do not have that. It's interesting because this one over here that I bought actually is also for fireplace. Yeah. It's also and it says here bioethanol. It doesn't say anything about any additives. Only that it completely burns without any smell and without any exhaust, of course. Because normally, if it were to be drinkable alcohol, then of course it's subject to alcohol tax, and it would be actually kind of dangerous because some people would actually abuse it. Yeah? Sometimes they denature it with methanol, so it's still all alcohol. Yep. Yeah, and then if there's methanol in it, you cannot drink it because it's dangerous. Yeah. 90% isopropyl alcohol is also sold in Amazon. Anything over 90% usually requires a lab certification to buy in the US. Yes. What I think this alcohol over here that in this bottle that I had before, which is empty, I think it was somewhat 97%. The reason is if you put alcohol, it doesn't say anything here, into the air, then it will absorb the moisture of the air to about 97%. So even if you use 99.999% alcohol, you have to make sure that it's always properly closed, because as soon as you open it and moisture goes in, it will absorb it until it has 97%, something like that. Yeah. And that's why the 99.99% alcohol is also significantly more expensive. But in the lab, we also had to use that because we could not do some extractions otherwise. Yeah? So, yeah, I think I'm just going to define. Yeah, I'm just gonna define this as being finished now, and let's try to make a permanent slide. Okay. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to dump the water again. Okay. So, and I also want to remove any excess moisture. So the good thing is it does not have to be completely dry. It should be completely dry if you're using some kind of a resin-based mounting medium, or if you're using U-Pearl for this, which I'm not now. It should also be reasonably dry, okay? Because U-Pearl and water also don't mix well. What you can also try to do is the following, also experimental, is to use nail polish. Clear nail polish can be used as a mounting medium, but be aware that it shrinks quite a bit. So maybe you want to thicken it a little bit if you use nail polish by allowing some of the liquid to evaporate. But nail polish also works, but in this case it also must be completely dry because nail polish and water also don't like each other. Yeah. Walmart sells 90% isopropanol cheaply in the pharmacy area. Yep. So I think it should not be a problem to obtain alcohol. What one could also try to do, I don't know, I didn't try this yet, because acetone is, some nail polish removers are acetone, might also work, okay? So I'm gonna try now the following. I'm going to, here, this is the one which I did not put into water. It's still a little bit moist from the alcohol, so we're gonna see. And what am I gonna do now? I need a slide. Here I got a box of slides. About slides. Okay, I'm not how do you say, affiliated with any of these companies or anything, but I found myself some slides here which are actually clean. I cannot believe this, because I used to have slides that were pretty cheap, and they were dirty, and I had problems cleaning them because there was water spots were on, so I had to clean them by putting them into vinegar. So I spent quite a bit of time cleaning the slides first, but those slides here are actually pretty clean. I'm happy. They can be used out of the box, and each of the slides are actually separated with a little bit of paper here. The corners are also up. Yeah, you can see the corners are 45 degrees so that there's no chipping. Also the edges here are polished. So I like those slides, and I use them to make permanent mounts, directly out of the box. So it's actually, slide quality should not make a big difference, but in this case I don't need to pre-clean them. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just, because I have a plastic surface, you know what, but every time when you use glue you probably still want to do it on paper or something. So let's do it like this. I have to make sure that you're actually able to see the whole thing. So, and somewhere I need a cover glass. Yeah, the cover glasses, sometimes they do need a little bit of wiping. Yeah, so I have somewhere, and I lost it. No, I didn't lose it. I have over here, that's some kind of a so-called a microfiber cloth for cleaning glasses. Yeah. So there are more comments. Use vodka if you drink it. Well, honestly, it shouldn't make a huge difference if it is concentrated alcohol. Yeah, or nearly concentrated. Yeah. What about lacquer thinner or acetone? Acetone, yes. Lacquer thinner, you got to be careful. I don't know what it is, because if it's xylene, you don't want to use that. So I always recommend that you only use solvents that actually are reasonably safe. Yeah? Acetone, I've also used before, should also work. Yeah? I tried some Novus acrylic glass cleaner, worked great in some cleaning solutions, because some of them actually might also contain alcohol. So I'm going to do now the following. I'm going to put this the cover glass somewhere where I can easily get it. Okay, I spilled now the cover glasses, so I put it here on. So the cover glass I just put it over here. Yeah, I need some scissors, some smaller ones maybe. I've got larger ones here. So, and I don't know, I guess I'm just going to cut a few squares. Okay, I want to have simply going to cut and I'm deliberately not using the central vein here because it's pretty thick, and this basically means that then the cover glass is not completely flat and so on. Yeah, so I'm just I guess I'm just gonna try it like this. Where are my tweezers? I got them somewhere. Luckily I've got all of my equipment, or most of my tools, in a drawer. But that's not the one that I wanted to have, but it'll work fine. Here is one, here is one. And yeah, let's simply give it a try. I'm going to use here now the PVA glue, which I already introduced some time ago in one of my videos, which I think is yeah, a very good general purpose solution. It pulls strings. That's something I don't quite like so much. And it's still a little bit thick. Doesn't matter if it's too thick, then we can thin it down always with a little bit of water. Yeah, I don't know which one I'm supposed to use. I'm just going to use this one over here. I put it in here. Usually it's a good idea to also put a small drop on top. See? Gotta be a bit careful here. I think this is way too much mounting medium. It does not matter, because what we're going to be doing is I'm going to let it dry, and all of the mounting medium that spills around it I can always scratch off later when it's dry. Yeah? So let's do it like this, and let's give it a little press. And you see that there is, you know what, I'm going to turn off the lamp here. Maybe the reflection of the lamp here is not, I'm going to lift it up a little bit. You see, there is quite a bit of mounting medium that's spilled out. Now the thing is the following. This is dangerous. What I've already done in the past is I was not patient enough, did not wait long enough for it to dry, put it under the microscope, and of course I rotated the objective directly into the mounting medium. Okay, so you have to be really careful, but I'm still going to do that because I'll be only using the low power objectives, so I already know that the distance is kind of large. Okay, so that's basically something I'm going to try now. Okay, so let's put the glue here. Let's put this here away. Maybe we're going to make another one later. And I'm going to put there's some glue over here that I don't want to spread around either. I'm going to put the plate on the side, and let's have a look now at the microscope view. Where's the microscope view? There is no light. It's not switched on. Okay, now it's on. Yes, so this is now the low power 4x objective, and you can see that everything is in a circle because I have to remove the condenser, I have to remove the polarization equipment, but you know what, I'll just leave it as it is. And let's have a look at this under low power. Okay, yeah, I was a little bit impatient with removing all of these things. Like this, like this. That's how it looks like. And here we can do a little quality check, and I see a lot of air bubbles, which I hope that they're going to disappear. I don't know. Yeah, yeah, that's how it looks like, and not quite as nice as the one that I made a few years ago. But I have to tell you, the leaf that I prepared at that time, I spent, I don't know, a couple of hours stripping off the cells very carefully so that the leaf doesn't break. I'm going to go up another 10 times, and actually we're actually still able to see that there are some cells left. Okay, yeah, so all of those lines that you see, let me point. So this box that you see here, yeah, is not one cell. Okay, that's important. Yeah, the cells are actually much smaller. Those brown lines that you see, those dark lines here, these are the vascular tissues. This is where the water is transported, and the cells are in between. Yeah, so yeah, let's do it like this. I think this looks better. Okay, play around a little bit with the polarization equipment. Yeah, So you can do a little bit of a quality check how good you were at removing all of the soft tissue between the vascular bundles. Yeah. Yeah, it's a little bit of a proof of concept, just to show you how things like this can be prepared. In school, what they have been doing as well, or what some of some teachers have been doing is this: they took a leaf and they basically put it into a little bit of soil and allowed it to decompose. And during the decomposition process, what will happen is that the soft cells will of course break down first, and then essentially the structures that you see here are the ones that will break down last, and so you can also get extract those. What are these vascular cells made of? Why didn't they break down during the cooking? Well, those vascular cells very often are not only there to transport water, but they are also there to give strength. So the cells, first of all, are longer, and often, for example, in the so-called xylem, which transports the water, the cell walls are much thicker and contain strengthening tissue. So, for example, the vascular tissues in stems, for example, are also there to give support. And in trees, those xylem, those vascular tissues also contain wood. So there is actually a double function here. It's not only for the transport of water, but also for making it stronger, and that's why the cell walls are actually much stronger here. What kind of lighting do you use now? It looks like DIC. It is DIC. Okay, it is differential interference contrast. And when I turn the little knob up here, I'm shifting a prism, and which gives it kind of like this contrast. So how are you going to see this under your microscope? It's going to. So I'm going to simply remove the DIC filter and the bottom, and that's basically now regular bright field. Yeah. And when I turn the knob at the top now, there's no effect. That's an interesting one. Do you see this strange little fiber there? This one over there? My finger disappears now. It looks a little bit like a trichome. These are these must be trichomes. Trichomes are wow! I didn't know that this plant leaf also has them. Trichomes are plant hair. And they look a little bit like like stars, or like the legs of a spider almost. But it is kind of surprising that they're still around here. Yeah. An enzymatic cleaner, basically some enzymes that would actually break down all of the soft tissue. Now this, the question, I don't know if something like this. Enzymatic cleaner, like for example, you know what, dishwashing powder. Seriously, because dishwashing powder contains enzymes to break down the food. So maybe this could be something, and it's also caustic. So it's something that one might also try. Interesting point. It's like a little trichome. Yep. Interesting. Where are they again? The trichomes. It must be some kind of. These round things are of course air bubbles. Yeah, these are definitely trichomes. I think trichomes are quite nice looking. Contact lens cleaner. I might also. You don't know. Beginning of September, I got contact lenses, and that's why these are my reading glasses. That's why I have got them sitting on the tip of my nose here. So this, might also work. Actually, contact lens cleaners. Maybe it's one of my future videos. They should also be a disinfectant. So it would be interesting to see how paramecia and other ciliates, how they like contact lens cleaners. Yeah, so that's basically a short demonstration how to make, how to prepare the leaves of leaf veins, and maybe you joined in, or maybe some of you joined in a little bit later. At the beginning of this video, I showed you, of this live stream, I showed you a short video, which I'm going to show you again. Okay, this here is a video, a picture that I made of a maple leaf several years ago, which I prepared using, and I scanned it using a high resolution scanner. So this is not done with a microscope, but with I scanned it. Yeah, you see that here on the bottom a little bit. I was not quite able to remove it, and the stem kind of breaks off easily, so I had to kind of put it back in later on again. But it kind of shows that if the leaf is sufficiently thick, and if you boil it properly, and if you have a lot of patience, you can get pretty nice results, really. Yeah, I was quite happy with that, with this result here. But then again, this was a lot of work. Yeah, and several tries, because sometimes you kind of rip the leaf a little bit, and then yeah. So, but I just wanted to show you that this is possible. And but this leaf was also much bigger than the one that I had now. But I feel it was also much easier to remove the soft tissue. I don't know if this has to do something with the type of leaf alone, or with the age. I don't know. Yeah. But in any case, preparing the other leaves was much easier. And if you joined in a little bit later, yeah, not all leaves work equally well. Many leaves are very thin, so they're very delicate. So if you use a brush, then they rip quite easily. And other leaves, like oak leaves, I was not able to manage to strip off the cells of oak leaves, even though I boiled them quite long. It simply wouldn't come off. Yeah, so maybe adding certain enzymes, or maybe soda or something like that, yeah, bicarbonate or whatever, might actually help here. Yeah. So another question: after the alcohol, the water loss could perhaps be replaced with glycerin or propylene glycol. It may keep a long time. Yeah. Essentially, glycerin. I mean, I have also glycerin at home. Why not? But you see, glycerin also absorbs water, and I think the problem with glycerin is that it does not go solid. So if you soak it in glycerin, this might of course work, but then I think making a permanent mount might be then a problem. I guess it depends what you want to do. But if the leaves are dry, for example, those here that I made, I simply pressed them between two layers of tissue paper and put a book on top. This is going to stay forever like this. Yeah. So what you can do is you can laminate this. Maybe some of you have this machine where you put some plastic foil on top and bottom, and then you kind of let it run through this. It heats it up and it sticks the plastic foil together, and that's lamination. And then this would be a way to preserve it. But because it's dry in this dry form, for this reason, yeah, it should store forever. Ah, look at this. This is the one from alcohol that I did not treat with water. That's what I meant with when it starts to shrink. Yeah. So that's the reason why you have to remove the alcohol again. Otherwise, this is going to happen. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, you can roll it out a little bit, but still, it's kind of shrunk together. Yeah. Yeah. So that's and about propylene glycol. I don't know that. Yeah. But I would say it is possible to preserve those leaves also in a conventional way. But yeah, this one doesn't look so nice, but you get the idea. Yeah? Yeah, I've been now talking again. Wow, a full hour. It was a slightly relaxed session this time. And we can still have a look at the microscope view here. You got a lower magnification again. Okay, let's swing out the condenser. That's not bright field. And in dark field, I don't. That would be an interesting thing. Let's. Does this? Just a second. That's dark field now. Oh, looks also nice. Yeah. Yeah. Dry and then press. Got it. Well, I would say no. At the same time. You do the following: you take the moist leaf and you put it between two layers of tissue paper. Okay, between two layers of tissue paper, and you put the book on top, and then it will dry. But during the drying process, it's pressed flat. If you dry it first, then a little bit something like this is going to happen, where it's actually going to start to deform a little bit. Yeah. And but if you keep it pressed during the drying process, and if you put several tissue papers above and below the leaf, then the water is also able to evaporate, and then you get it completely flat. Yeah, I did not dry those long enough here. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, but this actually works quite well. But it must be yeah, you must have all of the alcohol removed. Okay, folks. Yeah, I think. Yeah, you can press the leaf and then microwave to dry. Yeah, and then yeah, that's I've not tried microwave drying, but it might also work. But what I would suggest is you just press it a little, and then you just forget about it overnight, and then in the morning it's going to be dry. Yeah, so. Simply some suggestions. If you're watching this video later on or even right now, and if you want to, please post your success or suggestions in the comments then later on, because the video will of course be made available online, because maybe some of you have some suggestions on how to yet do this a little bit better. Yeah, yeah. Thank you for the live feed, another great one with very information. Yes, thank you very much. Will grass leaves work? Honestly, I'm kind of afraid that the grass leaves might be too delicate. Grass is a so-called a monocot plant, which has veins that are parallel. That's one of the distinguishing criteria between monocots and dicots. This is a dicot, so you see that it's networked and branched. And so this might, yeah, I don't know. I've not tried grass yet, also because it's very thin, and I can imagine because the veins in grass are parallel, maybe they will separate. I'm guessing. Okay, I've not tried it. Yeah, so there might be some other challenges here. Yeah. Many thanks for this thank you very much for the thank you. Thanks for another great live stream. Okay, for the next one. Oh, yes, I'm always thinking of new topics. Okay, and yeah, I wish you so far all the best. See you again, sugarcane leaves. Huh? Yeah, see you again next week, hopefully. And I'll be thinking of another hopefully interesting topic. Yeah, stay safe. Happy microbe hunting as always. Enjoy microscopy. It's really fun and engaging. Happy microbe hunting, and see you around next time. Okay, bye bye.